as promised, this is the second part, first episode, which is TechTalks. I gotta keep on getting this right. Hopefully by episode 10, I'll be able to say that smoothly. So it's TechTalks with the founders. This is part 2, okay, of episode 1. And what we wanted to do is split it up to be able to understand, obviously, the two different partners, the two founding partners. Obviously, last week we had the podcast with Tom Screen. And today, what we have, they're super busy. So we thank you for your time, John. So I know it's crazy time for yourself with deployments and things like that. But this is Jon Hardman, who is one of the other halves of the two co-founders. I'm not going to say who's the better half. I'll let you guys decide that. Of obviously EVERYWARE, and he's the solution director within the business as well, and he will tell you a little bit more about that. So let's really get into this, obviously, where we try to get an understanding of the people behind the business, and we always say that every business is really just a collection of people, and people buy from people. That's the truth. So what we wanted to do is not just to have the EVERYWARE brand that you can see in the back of John's screen there, but get you to have an understanding of who this business is in terms of the people behind it. So, John, first question that we've got, which is super easy, is to give us a little bit of background before EVERYWARE. And you may even want to tell people about if you're married, single, whatever that may be.
Oh.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about your background, probably how you got started into tech and things like that.
No. Well, let's just start. Yes, I am a father and a husband, so that's on my list of jobs alongside running the business. And we actually set the business up just as my son came along. So there was a lot of juggling during that period.
Was that your second? Is your son the first or second?
The first, my son was. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. So most people would say that, when you're about to set up a business, probably do it when you're young, without the children, because you've got all the time and things like that. But you did it anyway. Well done, you.
So I have vivid memories of coding whilst my son was up in the early hours, and I was trying to give my wife a rest. So yeah, a few vivid memories there. So.
Oh my gosh, that's it. But I think these are really good. Now, the reason I say that, thank you for sharing that, because I think sometimes people make being an entrepreneur incredibly glamorous, right? And obviously you see a lot of these YouTube videos, but it is hard work in the beginning to get it up, to get a business up and going. It is hard work. And as you said, coding and doing the bottle feeds, that's tough.
But it was all good though. Looking back, it was part of the foundations of what we got today, really.
Fantastic.
And perhaps just stepping back a little bit, I've always been that kind of practical guy. So even from the early days, I have vivid memories of my granddad giving me one of these little electronic sets, 30-in-1. I don't know if you remember them from the 80s.
What's 30-in-1 for anyone else?
30-in-1 electronics. So you've got all these little circuit boards that you can make, and you connect the wires, and it does something. A bulb will come on or something like that. So, and kind of that's where my practical nature, I think, has probably come from. And my dad also is super practical. And that kind of stuck with me. And, throughout my education, I was doing more sort of practical things in terms of design technology and the sciences. I enjoyed that. And then I got into understanding computer science. And in the early days, it was all about taking apart computers and rebuilding them, modifying them, fixing them, when they broke. So, I quite enjoyed that side of it. So, and then I went off to university and did a degree in computer science. And that's where I did a lot of programming and sort of learned that side of it as well. And my first job then was in Severn Trent, and I was in the IT support team initially, and I did a year out.
First line support. I never knew that.
I did a first year. So my course was 3 years, but then it had a placement year in the middle.
Yeah.
And that placement year was straight into first line and all the way through to second and third line technical support. And I learned such a lot in that period of time about, how to deal with a customer and their problems, especially in a technical nature. So there's some good lessons learned there. So then I completed my university, and then I joined Severn Trent in their software team and carried out I was on a number of different projects.
Fantastic.
Some of it was around customer services and the new application that was getting built at that time.
Yeah.
A little bit on the telematics side, and that's where I met Tom, and kind of we stayed in touch since then.
So did you find the company both at the same time? So in terms of, did you have both sitting there at lunch, come up with the idea, or was it you'd gone separate ways? I know you met him there, you went separate ways and then came back and then
we were
said,
on like different projects, and then we were on the same project, and then Tom left the business, left Severn Trent, and then joined this consultancy company, and we started. And then he pulled me across into this company. He said, "Come and join this small company," and we were like number 4 or 5 in the company, so it was really early days.
Wow.
And it was all about software consultancy with a product called SAP. And then we were working on lots of different projects with lots of different types of clients. So we were very client focused, but in a technical capacity, helping them get the most out of the tech and the software that was being sold.
Yeah.
And so, we were on a number of projects there, and we worked in there for about 8 years. And it was in that time that we were like, well, actually, perhaps we could do something ourselves. And the Internet of Things was starting to be a bit of a buzzword on the curve that you see, the Gartner curve. And we were like, well, actually, we're quite interested in the practical side. Certainly from my side, I was interested in the sensors and that side of things. And then the software side, combining that with sensors, is there a business there that we could perhaps form to help other businesses with this quite technical problem?
So what would make you want to be an entrepreneur? Because obviously you would have been doing well in your career, you're settled, and let's see, this is before your little one. But what would make you want to be an entrepreneur and all the risks that are associated? You hear all the failure, the high failure rates of businesses and stuff like that. What was the driving force behind it?
For me, it was, let's do something ourselves. Can we build something from scratch? Yes, there's a risk element to it.
Yeah.
But imagine, if we could build something that's a customer wants. Yeah. And that's the first thing, can we develop something that a customer wants? We could spend ages on the theory side of it, but nobody wants it.
Yeah.
And that's where I tried to pull in the practical piece. And really our first customer was a little light bulb moment. Actually, we've got something here that other people might want.
And what was that first customer then?
It was all to do with a fuse. So a simple fuse in a plug. Okay. So I've kept the fuse as a little keepsake. Comes out every now and again. And it failed in an extension lead that had got fridges connected to it in a hospital.
Yeah.
And that fuse went and it tripped out a load of fridges overnight. And they came back in Monday morning and the fridge contents had to be all thrown out. So there's thousands of pounds worth of medication. And they said, can we build a monitoring system so we don't have to, we get notified if the fridge goes off, for example, if it overheats. And that was the start of it, really. We then started to develop some sensors, a platform that supported that with a dashboard.
So the vision was born out of someone's pain rather than a vision that you 100% saw yourself? Or you had the initial
both, vision, I'd say. I think we saw a bit of both. Yeah. So we knew that the Internet of Things could be massive in making life easier for people, automating things, taking care of those manual tasks. But we needed a scenario to apply it to, and that was our first scenario was the fridge monitoring. And we've got the fridges behind us today that are still being monitored by the sensors. Fantastic.
Okay, so the business has been running now for over 10 years. Mm-hmm. So you had this initial vision. The Internet of Things was exploding, and I think it's still exploding, and we're going to talk about it in one of the further podcasts. And then you said, actually, could we create a platform with these sensors that was of benefit to a client? So that was the initial vision. So 10 years on now, what would you say is your vision for the business? So obviously we talked to Tom about what he sees his vision, and what do you believe the vision is for the business from your side?
I believe like our first 10 years, it's all about putting in these foundations for the Internet of Things. So that's the sensors, the ability to collect data.
Yeah.
I now see in the next 10 years, it's going to be doing really intelligent things with that data.
Yeah.
So it's going to be able to automate more and more manual processes, especially within the NHS and hospitals where they're super busy. And it's taking data from these sensors and then applying, whether it's algorithms or artificial intelligence or machine learning, to do something intelligent with that data.
Excellent. Oh, okay. That's the world of AI as well. Is that right?
Yeah, it's working side by side. It's not replacing us.
Yeah. Not the Terminator quite yet.
It's helping us. Yeah, not yet. No.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so I see where you've come from. I see the vision. So where did see you talked about, it was one of the questions, how do you believe technology will help the platform itself at Everywhere, will help, clients in healthcare, but also I know you're in commerce as well. So, the company also dabbles in commerce, even though the public sector is a stronghold that you have. How do you see further benefiting in the future technology, other than what you've already mentioned, or really that's where it is?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's a lot of new developments coming out in technology at the moment, certainly on the sensor side.
Yeah.
We're seeing the sensors getting smaller, they're doing more.
Yeah.
And I think if we can pull out the data from those sensors that are monitoring an asset to help people understand what's going on with that piece of equipment. So in the hospitals at the moment, a lot of it is about making sure the asset is in the right place at the right time for the right job. So it's predicting some of that. And I think if we can apply technology to help predict when things are going to be needed, so they're there ready in time,
fantastic.
I think that's going to be a big benefit to not just for healthcare, to other industries as well.
Exciting times ahead. Times ahead. Okay, so final couple of questions, and one I asked Tom as well, is what would you hope to achieve from the podcast, these weekly podcasts that will be coming out? What would you like to achieve from that?
Good question. This is a brand new domain to me, podcasting and the social media side. But I think for me, it's like, how can we help our customers more with this feature? Can we provide value to our customers through our little conversations that we normally have on a Monday morning together? If we can start sharing those and helping our customers solve more of their problems, really. So if we can use the podcast in that way, that would be excellent.
Fantastic. Okay, and then here's the final question, which I actually didn't ask Tom, but it sprang to my mind. I thought, let me ask. When we talk about people getting to know you a little bit more, what's one thing that people wouldn't know necessarily about you? So now they know you're married, they know you have children, and they know you're an entrepreneur. But what's one other interesting fact that people will know, and they'll only now know from this podcast? Is there an interesting fact that you could share about Jon Hardman?
For me, it's about being in nature more. So my day job is very much in front of the screen, or in front of the customer, where that's typically a happy place. But I have to have a daily fix of nature. And when I had more time, I'd be scuba diving every other weekend. And
fantastic.
I had an experience of diving with sharks once, which was out of this world. So 30 little sharks swarming above you puts it into perspective. So I can share that picture another time.
One last goal. I have a bucket list, and that's one of them, is to swim with sharks. So I'm very envious of you now. Very, very envious. Thank you for sharing that.
I can recommend it.
That's the one. Well, thank you for that. So as we said, we start off these first two podcasts, which is very much getting to know the founders, because obviously this is Tech Talks with the founders. And obviously, as we move on, we'll be digging, deeper into how they operate the business, things that they're doing in the business, technology that they're bringing to clients, technology questions that may not even be associated. So if you have a question around technology, how that can help your processes, your industry, even if you're not one of our clients, feel free to ask. So obviously, these podcasts will be out every Wednesday. They'll release every Wednesday on LinkedIn and on YouTube as well. So, make sure you subscribe to that, but also let us know what you'd like to hear as well. So we have some ideas, we're going to be talking about the Internet of Things. One of the, forthcoming shows that are coming up, or podcasts, is on the Internet of Things. But if there's something that you would like to know more about on tech, I'm not the person to ask. I am not super technical at all, but Jon and Tom super, technical and can answer your questions. So thank you. Remember to like and subscribe if you like it, but also to look out for these on LinkedIn and on YouTube as well. So thank you very much for your time. Jon, thank you again. Look forward to seeing you next week.